Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Totalbiscuit of the WoW podcast, Blue Please on CynicalBrit.com. My voice is still a little bit wrecked after the Metal Festival, throat's rather sore, so many apologies for any issues that I have with my commentary today, but whatever the case. This is the first of a two-part video covering Tol Barad. Now, this first part is going to consist, just to confuse you a bit more, of two parts. The first part is a look at this, which is the Tol Barad Peninsula. This is the new level 85 daily questing hub. And then across the bridge, we're going to have a look at the Tol Barad battle and PvP area itself and show you a short fight. The second part of the video, that's a separate video, is going to be a much longer fight. Because the one that I recorded initially didn't last all that long, so be best to have a look at both. So, first things first, the Tol Barad Peninsula. This is a daily questing hub, and everything here is level 85, as you are about to find out. It is rather unpleasant. There are a couple of named mobs that I did find, including that one over there, big stompy dude, and I imagine most of these are going to be the subject of various daily quests. So, first things first, before I tell you about how the daily questing is going to work, and then start to explain a little bit about the mechanics of the PvP area, let's tell you a little bit of history about Tol Barad, because a lot of people might not know what this area actually is. So most of the info we have regarding the backstory of Tol Barad is from not necessarily non-canon sources, but let's just say third-party sources. We're looking at a novel called Day of the Dragon by Richard A. Knack, and also a sourcebook for the World of Warcraft RPG called Lands of Conflict. There hasn't been an awful lot of official backstory released by Blizzard as of yet, so this is what I know, courtesy, of course, of WoW Wiki. So, this island used to be part of the Kingdom of Stromgarde. It was, in fact, an island citadel. And back in the day, it was the site of a fierce battle, which is why you've got this really unpleasant, beaten-up zone with a lot of damage done to it. It's way worse in terms of the amount of damage and rubble and obvious decay than, say, Wintergrasp. So during the Second War, this island was being used as a staging point to strike at Orc raiders. So Ogrim Doomhammer came along and said, "Oi, I want this island. Really, it looks awesome." So he came on, launched a massive invasion, absolutely twatted the lot of them. Later on, after the Second War ended, Kul'Tiras, the magic dudes, decided to take control of it and turn it into a magical prison for various nasty and evil entities. So that might explain why there's a raid dungeon in the PvP area of it, as well as the rather unusual nature of some of the buildings there. That's pretty much all the lore there is about this particular area. And what I would also say is that what you're seeing here in terms of the daily quest hub may not be complete. Obviously, these quests aren't implemented yet. The level cap on the beta, which I do keep having to repeat for people for some reason, is level 83. So this is a level 84 to 85 zone, and the daily quests will be unlocked at level 85, which is why I imagine there is literally nothing in terms of quest givers around here at the moment. Right, let's talk about the mechanics of this place. So, this is going to be like the Isle of Quel'Danas, and you should remember that back from TBC. It's one of the big daily questing hubs they brought in. Most of your daily questing is going to be done on Tol Barad, but this time it's got a little bit of a twist to it. So, you're going to be battling for the control of this island by battling in the PvP area, which I haven't shown you yet, and you're going to see at the end of this video and in the next full battle video. If you take control of it, not only do you gain access to a raid dungeon along the lines of VOA, which on a personal note I despise in every possible respect, and I do hope they put in some proper bosses this time, because VOA was the worst raid content they have ever done. Ever. Ever. However, here's the real twist. If you have control of Tol Barad itself, the PvP area, then you are going to be able to get access to some better quests. So the daily quests that you can do are dependent on whether or not you have control of this PvP zone. As to where this area is situated, well, it's kind of difficult to tell precisely because you can't zoom the map out yet. You can only teleport here via the PvP queuing interface. However, I believe it's somewhere off the central western coast of the Eastern Kingdoms. That's the information that I've got. It's obviously accessible via the PvP queue, but I would also think that there will either be a flight point or some kind of boat route that brings you here. As with many PvP-themed areas, we also have some factions. For the Alliance, we've got the Baradin Wardens, and for the Horde, we've got the Hellscream's Reach. Baradin Wardens are based in the Baradin base camp that you just saw me killing level 1 NPCs in. Unfinished content, ladies and gents, without a question. Now, the Hellscream's Reach, they're based over in Hellscream's Grasp, which is down the southern side of the island. We're having a look at some of that right now. Fairly obvious. You've got one of those new armored Horde ships there in the bay. You'll notice the Baradin base camp also had one of those. Interesting to see that they've really gone for the metallic theme here in Cataclysm, as opposed to the old wooden barricades of yesteryear. Aside from that, there really isn't a massive amount I can tell you about this area. The quests aren't implemented yet. It's got a very nice map, as you can see, but there isn't any lore surrounding any of these areas as of yet. That's going to be put in with the quests themselves as the zone reaches completion. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you the bridge and take you over into the Tol Barad combat zone. I'm going to show you a little bit of it without anyone fighting in it, and then I'm going to show you a short battle that we did sometime yesterday evening. Now, like I said before, the second video is going to be a much longer battle. I just wanted to put this in here to give you a little bit of a taste, and then we can do something that lasts somewhat longer, and maybe show you a little bit of Totalbiscuit's terrible PvP skills. Now, in terms of what's in this area, you've got 3 main capturable buildings, as well as 3 towers, and you've also got a central point, which is the actual Baradin hold. That's what's in the middle, and that's where you spawn if you control this particular area. So kind of like Wintergrasp, where you spawn inside the walls of the city, or in fact just behind the fortress. In this case, you spawn in this hold area, a fort, a keep, if you will, in the middle of the map. You've got these 3 areas here which can be captured. Now, in order to actually win this particular PvP area, you have to capture all 3 of these at the same time. There is a time limit, needless to say. Now, in the beta at the moment, these battles happen every 60 minutes. So you can see there's a clock up the top there that will tell you how long it's going to take for the next one. You can queue for them only within a certain time window, so you can't put yourself in the queue, say 20 minutes beforehand. It's a couple of minutes, I believe, if I recall correctly. So you can queue for it, it'll tell you it's available, and then it'll pop you in there. Now, there don't appear to be any mobs around like there are in Wintergrasp. I would think that most of the farming, if any, is going to be done in the daily quest area, although it would not surprise me at all if they are taking deliberate measures to try and crack down on the hacking and the crazy gold farming that was going on in the Wintergrasp area in Wrath. Now, these are interesting because I can't actually figure out what they're for. There are 3 underground passageways, one fairly near each of the 3 capturable locations. Now, they're well textured, and there seems to be an awful lot of stuff in them, but they are empty. I'm trying to figure out what they're for. I would have thought maybe they're an alternative access route to those capturable points, but it doesn't seem to be that way. I mean, we can have a look under the map to see where we are relative to one of those locations. There you go. You see, we're actually moving underneath. But I couldn't find a way up, and you also can't seem to get in range of the flag in order to capture. I imagine it would be extremely annoying if you were able to go simply underneath and then stand, say, 20 feet below the flag and capture it there. That seems ridiculous. So I can't imagine that's going to be the case. Bear in mind, the lore indicated that this was some kind of magical prison, so you see these, what appear to be cells right here. I have no idea what was in them, and quite frankly, looking at the bones, I don't want to know. But I can't find any access route to the surface from here, so I don't know what these are actually for. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Again, bear in mind, zone is unfinished. It's accessible, it's ready for testing, but they clearly haven't got everything sorted out in here as of yet. Aside from that, you've got the towers on the corners, and I'll explain what that's all about in the actual battle video. It's just more convenient, and it'll give you a bit more context. Regardless, though, I do like the architecture of this area. It's very different. Yes, it's still bugging out a little bit. It's got a little bit of Worgen there with that orange glow. I mean, to be honest, that orange glow is quite common in Cataclysm in general, but it's unique enough, just kind of like Wintergrasp was, to be interesting. Okay, battle time, ladies and gentlemen, let's do it. This is a no-fly zone, as is the daily quest area, and the first thing you do is take 12k falling damage. Yes, indeed. That is a bit of a design flaw to start with. Now, when you respawn, you actually get a slow fall debuff, which allows you to jump off the keep. The purpose of having the keep up that high is to stop you from being locked in it, basically spawn camped. You spawn in one place, but the attacking side has multiple potential spawn locations, so you can't camp them there either. Like I said before, the objective is to capture these 3 buildings, and that's how you win. You've got to do that before the time runs out. And what you can also do is you can blow up the towers. If you blow up those towers, then you will gain additional time to finish things off. And yay, there's my pre-made character's first honorable kill, and oh god, now I'm going to die horribly. So fire PvP is kind of weird now, because one of your primary nukes, i.e. Scorch, can now be cast on the move. And I'm getting murdered very badly here. Not a lot I could really do, but at least I blew that guy into smithereens and got a little bit of a gank on him. So you can actually move now while casting Scorch if you have the appropriate talent. It's called Firestarter, and it's weird. I'll hopefully show you it. I definitely do it in the second battle. I think there might be a little bit here as well. It's so very bizarre to be able to move while doing a cast time-based spell. It's crazy. Well, there's a look at the map itself. You can see our spires are in reasonable state at the moment. Don't need to worry too much about that. Now, WoWWiki assumes that destroying them actually cuts the battle time. That is incorrect. It actually extends the battle time. Now, you might wonder how exactly you blow them up. Well, there are siege engines in this map, but if you hated siege engines, you don't need to worry too much because they have only one purpose, and that's to damage those spires that you see right there. Get myself buffed up. And because I didn't jump off quick enough, I'm going to have to jump off and take falling damage again. That, I think, is something they need to change. They need to extend that slow fall debuff, because if, say, I've got to muck around with my keys or my bindings and things, as I had to do there, then that becomes a bit of a problem. It was a 10-second slow fall debuff. That's not enough, honestly. I understand why they've got this set up this way, so it can't be easily spawn camped, but that slow fall debuff does need to be sorted out. Now, in a pug group, I imagine most of this is going to involve running backwards and forwards, and taking the buildings back over and over and over again. This encourages you to move around a lot more than Wintergrasp did, for instance, because these are all over the place. Now, there's one of those siege engines I was talking about. They count as level 85 elites. They've got 400,000 HP. Now, this is actually designed for level 84s and 85s. I'm in here as an 80, which means that a lot of the guys that I'm facing are 83, and also that these siege engines count as red elite mobs, so I can't hit them all that hard. Also, allow me to apologize that my mad crits appear to be disabled. You can't actually see my scrolling combat text displaying damage. I have checked the interface. I've tried to figure out why that is. It does appear to be a beta issue, and that's also the case in the other forthcoming battle video that's a little bit longer. Okay, one of the Alliance has got in there and it's buggering off with it. These things do respawn, but they're on quite a long timer, so it's a case of running around trying to find them. They are displayed on the map, so it's not really all that hard. They move fast enough to get away from you if you are simply running around and you're stuck on foot, but you can catch them on a mount. As regards to what abilities they appear to have some kind of ranged attack as well as a battering ram. Couldn't really tell because, well, the 2 times that I was battling in here, it was horde controlled, so we don't get to ride in those. Behold, many, many Raven mounts. Yes, that is the default mount for pre-mades. That's why everyone's riding around on those things. There's no point in riding around on the bronze drakes because we can't fly on them anyway, and quite frankly, they look silly. Let's go here. We have an army of birdies. Go, Chocobo! Find the enemy. I have no idea where the enemy is. We just have to recapture this right now. Oh, God, we lost that one as well. We do, just as a spoiler, we do lose this battle, and it's not really all that long. Potentially, these things can go on for about 40 minutes, as far as I can tell. The default time is 30, and I believe you get an additional 3 every time you blow up a spire. So it is about 40 overall if you destroy all 3 of the towers. This one ended way before that, and it can end very quickly, honestly. What I will say as well is that this doesn't necessarily give an accurate depiction of how the flow of the battle is going to work in the live game, because you've got a very limited number of testers here, as opposed to the numbers you're going to get in a full game. I don't know how large this is going to be. If I recall correctly, as of patch 3.2, Wintergrasp accepted up to 120 players per faction in the queue, so you could have, at most, 240 people in the zone. Tol Barad certainly looks big enough for that, and its combat seems to be concentrated in the 6 flashpoints, the 3 buildings, and the spires. Okay, let's engage this paladin. It's level 81, so it should be okay, maybe. Let's go and see how that one works. A lot of really confusing stuff here. I don't know why I'm casting a fireball. I haven't PvP'd in ages. But the way Blast Wave works now is very odd indeed. There's a hot streak, a little bit of a scorch right there. And you are so perma-stunned, aren't you? Wow, wow, wow. He's actually standing there not doing anything. Might as well take him down. There we go. Blast Wave. Oh, it's so tricky to get used to the fact now that Blast Wave is actually a targetable ability. I mean, the way I used to do PvP, I did a little bit of Arena. I wasn't very good. I was like 1,600 rated. It was pretty terrible. I used to do it as fire, but whatever. It used to be a case of you get in there and you use all your instants and say you run past them with a Dragon's Breath to stun them. You hit them with a Blast Wave as you're running past. Then you do a very quick turn on the mouse and try and hit them with the biggest, most powerful ability you've got before they break the disorient effect. That was ages ago, and that probably isn't even viable anymore. But now you have to target it, and of course, now you can move around with Scorch. So you're trying to stay away from the melee classes. And instead of just trying to spam your instants, you're going to have to fit Scorches into your rotation. It's quite nice because you can trigger your hot streak off of Scorches, which is what you're going to want to do. So you're trying to strafe around them, trigger the hot streak, hit them with the Pyroblast, follow up with an impact. And obviously if you've got your impact proc, you want to hit them at a very specific time. Oh, Jesus God. Wow, those guys hit hard. A lot of 83s in here as well. Whew. Now, I would really prefer it if they spawned me at the right time. This is like the 2nd or 3rd time now that they've spawned me back at the Spirit Guide. It always seems to happen. Every battleground I go into, it's like, 30 seconds till resurrection. Like, no, come on. Reminds me of how much I used to rage in Team Fortress 2 waiting to actually respawn. And then, of course, the snarky ones among you will say, well, Totalbiscuit, if you didn't suck so much, you wouldn't have to respawn. No! Yes, thanks, guys. Slow fall, slow fall. Use the slow fall. I didn't actually notice that I even had it, honestly, because it's only a little 10-second buff at the top there. In the second battle, I started to take advantage of that. Also, do bear in mind, you can get stuck in this fence very easily. A couple of guys did, and they had a difficulty getting out. I'm thankfully able to blink out of it when it happens to me at some point in one of these videos. But slow fall is for the weak, ladies and gentlemen. Timed blink is much more pro. I do feel sorry for the certain classes that are going to be affected by this, and I would urge Blizzard to extend the duration of that buff significantly. It's not like it's going to give you an advantage anywhere else in the zone. Make it 20, make it 30 seconds. Or indeed just keep it until you actually get out of the Barad and Hold area. Make it a location-based buff. Now we're sort of running around like headless chickens, and indeed we managed to lose it there. If you're caught out of position, you can get your stuff captured very fast indeed, and I think fixed teams are going to have an absolute blast in here, and will be able to control the terrain in much the same way as they can in Arathi Basin. I'm very toast. I've just got jumped by everybody known to man, and our guys are getting annihilated. So that was a short look at a Tol Barad battle. I've got a full-length one, well, near enough, coming up later. That's going to be my next job. So hopefully you've enjoyed this, and I'll give you a more thorough look at how PvP works here next time. My name's been Totalbiscuit, and this has been a look at Tol Barad. Good night.